This episode of Invent America Radio is brought to you by America's Inventor Lady and Home Talk USA. Home Talk is a proud member of the King Broadcasting Network and has been bringing you the best of America's home-based product innovation since 1998.
Broadcasting and streaming live all across America. This is Home Talk USA. Join us this hour for our segment Invent America with your co-host Rita Crompton. Discover what's next for new products and innovations. Or if you have that next great big idea, learn what it takes to bring your invention to the world. As Mike Rita Crompton talked to America's inventors and innovators. Remember, the America of tomorrow is being invented today.
Hello, America, and welcome to Invent America, because America invents.
Yahee! Welcome, America! That's right. This is the Invent America show right here on King's Broadcasting Network. I want to welcome all of you that's joining us from Home Talk USA. We have a lot of y'all that's just keeps that dial going, and different parts of the show. Invent America, from the Inventor Lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton, my host, my sidekick. She's with us right now, Miss Rita, Inventor Lady. Why? Because, like you always say, America invents. Right, Rita?
We do. And we've got some really great shows coming up. I know we usually say that at the end, but I'm excited to get some of these next topics coming up. And the one we're talking about today is important because it helps inventors determine should they take that step. And it's all about, can you sell it, not can you just invent it.
I forgot to mention, I do want to tell our audience that you're going to be joining me and Greg Owens with Made in America right after your show. It's because we're going to be talking about the politics, the political part of this, the tariffs, the trade shows that affects everyone, what's happening, the truths. So I want my audience just to stay tuned, just stay with us here. We're going to be here for the next couple hours, and I'm excited about that because for the first time, I'm gonna unleash heavenly hell because I'm bad and I'm tired, and I just cannot continue to see what's going on that's affecting our inventors, it's affecting our manufacturers, it's affecting patents, copyrights, tariffs, China stealing. I mean, Rita, I can remember, and back me up on this before we get while our audience is listening. You remember in the early days when I first met you, and we were doing the trade shows, and I saw this, and everything. And why I bring this up, because you remember back then, I went holy nuts when sitting at these trade shows and watching the Chinese with their cameras taking pictures. And this is before we started manufacturing. Like, we was in the beginning of NAFTA. We were beginning of taking the technology and bringing it to China. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
And I said that right then and there. I said, what are y'all doing? Don't you know that they don't have you're not going to have patent protection. They're going to steal your technology. Well, what's happening? Now it's taken 25 years later for the president that we have in office now to say enough's enough. And that's what I'm excited to be talking to you. But before we get in that, I know you want to talk about marketability, how challenging it really is to determine the marketability of your company or your product or your technology. Can you address this, Rita?
Exactly. When somebody says, well, I've got this idea and it's never been done before, it's like, okay, let's start with that one. And, it's not about that. Somebody says, well, if I change the patent 10%, I can go to market. Okay, well, that's on one end of it. But the consumer is God when it comes to taking a product to market. The consumer is going to decide what price you can charge for it. The consumer is going to decide, is this a product that they're willing to risk, or should they just stick with the one they know? The consumer decides. And a lot of inventors don't realize the consumer decides. And so when we go out there and we say, all right, well, there's this other product out there and yours, might twist a different direction, but is that enough to impact the market? And a lot of times, no. To spend tens of thousands of dollars on something that is not going to make a difference, for the independent inventor, that risk is too high. If it's, Apple's got a new curve on its phone, okay, well, they've got pretty deep pockets. But an independent inventor, I don't generally meet them when they say, oh, I have really deep pockets. Let's waste my money. Where can I throw it and burn it? So we've got to be smarter about the decisions that we make. And so that's some of the, I don't give them, when somebody calls me and says, this is what it is, I don't say, oh yeah, by all means, file a patent on it and let's see what we can do with it. It's, can we sell it?
Well, it's amazing when, like, sometimes I would go in the booths at the trade shows, and a lot of times I would be talking to the inventors, and some of them had great flexibility, but I need to tell you, Rita, some of them didn't have no flexibility because I guess they fell in love with their pet peeve, and but the market or the consumer is telling you, and I think you need to be open to that. And be flexible in your technology, and don't fall in love with it, even if it is your baby. Don't
exactly.
fall in love with it.
I tell inventors all the time, ideas are like belly buttons. Everybody's got one, and it doesn't matter how cute yours is. I can't sell it. So then we look at, can you get a patent on it? And then should you file a patent on it? And then how are we going to make this where it is going to make a difference? Is it going to change the marketplace? And that's what we look at. Not, you can make and sell almost anything, and you don't need a patent to go to market. You need a patent to negotiate. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
And so now it's about, the product. Does it make sense? And there's a lot of inventors I've had to tell. I had a guy, he was so angry at me because I said, don't do this. And he goes, well, it's never been done before. And I said, oh my God, I found 5 of them on Amazon. Of course it's been done before. Yeah. And he is still angry at me, and he still calls me from time to time. And he goes, I just really don't understand. And it's like, yours was not different enough to compete in the marketplace with these things. And, when we look at, there's people there taking pictures at the trade shows, but if the inventor has filed a patent and it's been published, it's already public knowledge.
That's right. That's right.
And anybody can go out there and get it. So somebody standing around taking pictures of it, there's milestones that they look at, Are you having an impact in the marketplace? And then they might come after the product. Did you file in China? Then we can shut it down in China. Yeah, you gotta, it gives you at least an attempt to shut it down in China. Yeah. You can stop it at the border if it's being sent in. If you only filed in the US, then you only get to have say-so in the US. Somebody else can make it and sell it all over the rest of the world. So there's nuances you've got to follow and pay attention to, and you can't control everything.
And also, I want to mention, if you listen to the show, and I know we're going to talk about this in the future, is that take your technology and break it down into different patent components. Because what I'm seeing now is that people, inventors, are taking their technology and then patent as much of the individual technology as possible. Because I'm gonna tell you, the guy who invented the hose, the stretchable hose that goes in and out, now he's got 80 patents on one 80 patents on one hose, on the same hose.
I always tell him, absolutely. Yeah. And I tell inventors, it's like, pay attention to the technology that's coming, file new ones where you can. Sometimes a design patent is helpful so that you're extending, because a patent is good only for 20 years from the day you file it. Yeah. But if you're paying attention and you're kind of stretching it out, you can increase the life of your product and the patentability of your product by increasing the patent life, which is extending it out there and paying attention. And one of the things that they frequently overlook is getting a patent on the machine that makes it.
Yes.
And that's one of the other things that we watch for.
Yeah. Well, Rita, a lot going on. You got a great show. We want our audience to stay with us. You've got, can you just mention, we only got a minute, maybe, who we're going to have on?
I've got Bob Labbe on. He's actually manufacturing and caught up in some of this tariff stuff, but he's got a very cool product that my husband absolutely loves. And then our industry expert, they resell a lot of products, they license some products, and they're going to help us kind of understand what is that improvement have to be in order to, take that jump to manufacturing.
Yeah, I'm going to be listening to that. But a lot going on. Stay with us right here on the King's Broadcasting Network. This is the Invent America Show, along with my sidekick, the Inventor Lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Stay with us. Don't forget, check out our website at hometalkusa.com. It's the main website, but you can click all our interviews from all our shows, Made in America, Invent America, Home Talk USA, bios from all our hosts, our topics, future topics, our sponsors. Where do I stop? This thing is really growing, Rita. But hey, I'm going to let you close out the show for this segment. All right, Rita, so you close it out.
Absolutely. Everybody stick with us. We are going to be right back with the ultimate coaster guy and what he's gone through to get his product out there into the marketplace. So everybody, we will be right back. Let's go pay some bills. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America invents. We have been for centuries, and we will continue long after this tariff mess is all cleaned up, because that's what we do. We make things. And our segment right now is brought to us and to you by Trimus Lab. All right, if you've got a need to replace rotting or missing wood that's often found in driveways, sidewalks, I've got some in the deck. Trimus Lab is the easy way to fix, install, and make it look great. And the other thing is that it can be removed. So trimislab.com, that's where you go for the fix it. So my guest right now is Bob Labbe. He is the inventor of the Ultimate Coaster. And, you know, the funny story is when he first told me about it, and I'm thinking, okay, my husband has been complaining for years that he puts his cup on his coaster and then, you know, it condenses and the water gets all over, and then he promptly picks it up and drops it on his tie. And Bob, thanks for being with us today, because you know what? I gave my husband a set of those in his Christmas stocking, and now there are Ultimate Coasters in every room in the house.
Well, that's great.
So anyway, tell us, you know, how you came up with it. You've got a similar story to my husband. I think most men have got ties with stains on them. So give us a little bit of background on the Ultimate Coaster.
Well, okay. Well, I was down visiting my daughter in Atlanta back in October of 2023. And we were all sitting around having a couple cocktails and talking, and we were getting ready to go out to a nice restaurant. And I kept using the leather coaster that my daughter gave me for my Manhattan. And I was on my second Manhattan, and apparently there was enough condensate that got on that leather that I picked it up. But here I was dressed in a nice suit with a silk tie. I was dressed to the nines because we were going to a very nice restaurant. And the coaster, I didn't notice as I was talking, the coaster fell on my tie, and it got condensate all over my tie. Then it went down the coat of my suit, and then it got on my pants, and then it fell on her wood floor. So it had, in one thing, it messed up the tie, the coat, the pants, and the floor all in one swoop. And you know, I had just finished making a deal to sell my third air pollution control company, so I was 2 months away from full retirement. And I thought, well, what am I going to do when I retire? Well, this was the impetus to get me there, because this is a pet peeve. It has always been with me, but it was subliminal at the time because I never thought about inventing anything like this. But after this happened, I said to my daughter, I'm going to invent a coaster that really works. And so that's what set me on the direction of doing this thing. And so having all the engineering people in place and have the manufacturing capabilities, I did all this kind of stuff in the air pollution control for big equipment all my life. Okay. So there was nothing new to the process I was going through. Never lived in the household commercial world though. So that was all new to me, and it still is. I'm still learning. And my daughter and son-in-law that run the company and all, I'm still pretty much retired. I'm a talking head now, okay? And I interact with them and tell them what I'm thinking, and we have monthly reports and all that kind of stuff. But that was what caused me to do it. And then I started looking into the patents, because I know you were talking about patents, and I knew that coasters had to be made by many people. and many of them. There are scores of coasters out there made from paper and wood and marble and ceramics, whatever you want, and they're all different colors and shapes, and they all have all cute little sayings on it. So I knew I was entering a market that was already full. Yeah. But the reason I went forward with this, I will say this: the Ultimate Coaster is the only coaster in the world that does what it's supposed to do. It captures, conveys, collects, and contains condensate, so it doesn't get on your table or your clothes or your floor and mess everything up. And that thought, well, gosh, if it would do that and we can do it economically, let's go forward. So I drew up the hand sketches of this thing. I gave it to my chief engineer. He put it in AutoCAD and the various manufacturing drawings you need to do. Then I sent it over to the small, the small patent group, law group here. Chris Carroll is a friend of mine. And I said, Chris, take a look at this thing, study it, and tell me if it's worth going forward. He looked at it, and I looked at the same time, and all the patents on coasters had expired. So there was nobody who had a patent on a coaster. And he said, yeah, he said, Bob, he said, with all your claims in here and all your engineering background, I think it's worthy to go forward. And I said, okay.
I want to back you up just a little bit. So, like you said, there are lots of different coasters out there. I've got a whole bunch of sets of coasters that are beautiful sitting on the coffee table and useless when it comes to exactly working the way they're supposed to. So, they might protect the wood on the table, but then they destroy everything else when they drop off the bottom of the cup. So how did you figure out how to make it work right?
Well, if you look at the Ultimate Coaster, it's a grid top, okay? But it's got little semicircle cuts out in it on every grid. And those are called capillaries. And capillaries cause flow to occur. So when the condensate runs down the side of the cup, it gets caught on the grid and it goes through the capillary, and the capillary causes it to flow into the pan. And that's why it captures, conveys, collects, and contains. And no other coaster on the market does that, okay?
Well, I always tell inventors, it's like, you've got to have a difference in the marketplace. So when you solve a problem everybody knows they have, destroying your table, all right, from heat and cold and water and whatever, everybody knows the problem. So when you've got a better solution to the problem, it's easier to make the sale. When you've got to teach someone that they have a problem they didn't even know they had, and now you're spending millions of dollars teaching that somebody that they've got, they should be playing on their apple instead of eating their apple. And most inventors don't have deep enough pockets for that kind of lesson. But when you're solving a problem better, all right, it's easier then to get it into the marketplace. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about, what you guys have done so far. So stick with us, everybody. We're going to take a break, go pay some bills, and we will be right back, and we will kind of pick Bob's brain on how they went forward and then started getting people's attention. So everybody stay with us. We will be right back.
Don't have the time or expertise to market your small business? Constant Contact's powerful digital marketing platform helps you grow your audience, engage your customers, and sell more to boost your business. Now, with just a few clicks, you can launch a personalized marketing campaign that includes email, social, SMS, and more tailored to your business and your goals. Save time and get real results with Constant Contact. Try it free today at ConstantContact.com.
everybody, and thank you for sticking with us for this segment of Invent America. This segment is brought to you by Aztec Washer. It's the revolutionary and innovative roofing products. And, I know you hear me say this, they have been around for a long time, since 1968, but gosh, don't you want to be able to use something that has proven itself in the marketplace? And if they're still out there, they have done that. Seal it right, seal it tight, aztecwasher.com. And we are here with an inventor, Bob Labbe, and he has invented the ultimate coaster. He is going after a licensing deal, which we are in the midst of talking about with a potential licensee. And it came out of going to the ASD Market Week in March, which was a great show. So, you had to do some stuff to get there to that ASD Market Week. You guys have been manufacturing these for a while now, right?
We have. We definitely have. We started manufacturing. The prototype was actually June of 2024. And from June, we had to go through a process of evaluating and making sure the product was correct. And by the first week of October, we had finally gotten the product exactly the way we wanted it. And then we proceeded with the first 1,000 units of product. And now we've manufactured over 20,000 units now, and we've sold over 10,000 units now. And I guess in the process of manufacturing, we like everybody that lives in the United States would love to stamp on their product, made in the USA. So Bart, as you know, Bart, he sat out last April and May when we started looking to get serious about total manufacturing, and tried to find a North American manufacturer, but particularly a USA manufacturer. Unfortunately, through going through more than 60 possibilities, we couldn't find anybody that was priced properly to be competitive with the rest of the coastal market. So lo and behold, as many people have to do, and we did, we went to the Asian market. We tried India, Vietnam, Korea, China, etc. And of course, China won because they are most vested in manufacturing cheap products and sending them to the United States. And we knew that, but we really didn't want to go there. But we had to, because we had to be competitive in the marketplace. And we are very competitive in the marketplace. And so to that end, that's how we got started in the manufacturing process. Interestingly enough, though, just in the last month and a half, Bart particularly has located a manufacturer that's very close to our home. That's a U.S. manufacturer who, with the tariff considerations, with the shipping cost from China, we have been able, as if we buy more than 5,000 units at a time, we have found a way clear to be competitive using this U.S. manufacturer.
Wonderful.
So we're negotiating right now a manufacturing agreement with the U.S. manufacturer and see if we can arrive at something that's good. It's got to be good for both of us. He's got to make a profit. We got to make a profit. So we're in negotiations now, and we're hopeful that soon we'll be able to stamp on our product, made in the USA.
Well, that would be absolutely amazing. And I know we're working a lot more to help facilitate some of that with our inventors and different folks who are manufacturing. And, it's an unfortunate piece, but, it was going to happen eventually. And so I'm excited to see more of our inventors moving production back to the U.S. And if you don't mind, at some point, I will have you share with me that resource, because we've got a lot of inventors who are looking exactly at this dilemma of bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. And we are excited to be able to help do that.
Well, we're going to keep our secret for a while.
Oh, now come on. We share in America. But, so, at what point then did you decide we've got this? This product is, it's solving a problem everybody understands, and ours is different enough to take the risk to manufacture?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I live in a golf community here in Baldwin, Missouri, right outside of St. Louis. And I play a lot of golf with a lot of friends. And I've written a book called Putting by the Numbers, which is a golf book about putting. So with my buddies on the golf course, I took some coasters out and showed them the product and explained to them how it worked. And there's 68 people that live in the villas here around the golf course. And of course, I've given most of them several coasters just because they're friends. But everyone, when we started talking about this problem, had the problem of the coaster sticking to the glass. If it was a leather coaster or a ceramic coaster, the condensate would flow over the edges of it and get on the table anyway. And so we all had a commonality of problems with the coaster. And so I guess that helped me know that this was a good product and it was worth giving it a shot. And of course, we've spent a little bit of money, but we've been very careful. We went to the ASD show that very well, and we've had a lot of good reaction from a number of medias. We're doing heavily into social media, and we got a nice website, and we got our product is available on Amazon, is available on our website, and we're hoping to continue to get it out there. We've gone to the Fortune 500 companies and letters and samples, and we've got a 1% to 3% return on that. We've gone to the promotional companies, and we're having reasonable success there. We have a nice contract with Bigfoot here in Pacific, Missouri, and so things are going pretty well. But we got a long way to go.
I understand. All right. So for all of our listeners out there who have used a coaster that's made a mess and they want the ultimate coaster, where should they go to find you?
Well, they need our website, of course, is I'm not supposed to say that anymore. ultimatecoasterco.com.
All right. And they can Google they can go to Amazon and Google Ultimate Coaster.
Correct. And our products on Amazon, our products on our website. The most recent product that everybody seems to love is the clear coaster. Okay. And we've had a lot of companies buy that clear coaster, and they're doing their own printing on it with their professional logo of their sports team or their company, whatever. And so the clear coaster, be it a transparent or translucent, have become the favorite sellers right now.
Excellent. Good for you. So then what's next? What are some your issue right now is, like you said, finding the U.S. manufacturing. But then, all right, let's get that U.S. manufacturing in place. What's next? What are you looking for at that point?
Well, Rita, I think you've already hit the nail on the head several months ago. You put the bug in our ear about licensing. And we believe that if we're ever going to be successful, we've got to have 1 or 2 or 3 worldwide licensees that's going to take this product all over the country and all over the world. And because of that, we have a U.S. patent fully in place, and we have a PCT patent that, of course, you helped us on that issue. So that's in place too. And we plan to hopefully get 1, 2, or 3 of these licensees in place before that PCT runs out, so we can choose which country we want to perfect that patent in.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure to work with you guys. We love the coaster, and you're in a unique spot right now where you can pull your product back, you can make it in the U.S., you can look at then the costs. We're going to see a lot more of that happening, and you've got one of those easy things that it's people can understand, and so it is absolutely a pleasure to be part of your journey and to see what we can do for you. So I am looking forward to having a lot more conversations with you and Bart and Stacy. It was a pleasure to have them at the show with us, and you never know, one of these days we'll get you out there to that show.
Oh, I might come next year if I'm not in Cabo.
All right. So everybody stick with us. We will be right back after we go and pay some bills. And our industry expert is going to be with us, and he's got some perspective to help inventors understand what's going on out there, but he's also got some really cool new products that he's going to tell everyone about. So stick with us, everybody. We will be right back.
Would you like to host your own radio program or podcast? Park City Productions 06604 is a Bridgeport, Connecticut-based radio broadcast solutions company. Follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Park City Productions 06604. Call us at 203-522-8801.
Welcome back, America, to America Invents. And we are so lucky to have our industry expert with us for this segment. But first of all, I want to let you know that this segment is brought to you by Liberty Tabletop and Sherrill Manufacturing. Liberty Tabletop is America's only flatware made in the U.S. So for all of your flatware, dinnerware, cookware, glassware, think libertytabletop.com. And right now, in this era, Made in America is a big deal, and if you're not there already, they will be. So every consumer out there, when you have that option to buy Made in the USA, please support all of our American inventors who are manufacturing in the USA. Kevin Cody, CEO and founder of FLI Products. And so, Kevin, tell us what's new.
How are and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So glad to have you. You know, it's funny because you just live down the street from me. You know, it's exciting to be able to talk about, you know, the new products and what's happening. I mean, you know, one of my guys who's going to be a speaker at our Inventors Roundtable meeting this week, the title is, you know, making opportunity out of chaos.
Yeah.
And, you know, part of this tariff thing is the chaos. Yep. And so when we look at opportunity, it's how are we bringing things back to the U.S. and getting products out there?
Absolutely. You know, it's a great time actually to evaluate your strategies as a company, if you're a Made in the USA company in particular, and set your path, pivot a little bit, and then set your path toward where the opportunities are going to present themselves. And that's kind of where we are in the middle of all of this, because most importantly to us has been the elimination of the de minimis clause. And that is really beginning to open up some doors, and people are beginning to look at some products that we've had that may not have fit into their mix before, but they've now got to fill some empty hooks with.
So help our listeners understand, what is that de minimis clause?
The de minimis clause was actually something that was designed to help developing countries bring products into the United States. And I'm not sure of all of the politics of this, and I don't even want to get into that, except for the fact that basically any product that made its way through customs that was under $800 value could be brought in with no tariff. And that has been the single biggest driver for Amazon, for Temu, for Shine, and for TikTok, and their success, to the detriment of most small manufacturers today.
Right.
Because those products are coming with significantly lower cost of goods, and they're not paying taxes, and they're not paying tariffs, because most of these companies that are bringing the products in are offshore companies.
Yeah.
They're not paying taxes. They're not paying tariffs. They're not paying anything into the U.S. tax system, like all of the U.S. domestic manufacturers are.
Most people don't even know that. You know, they get all wrapped up in the tariff issue, and they don't really understand what is going on in the details. But, you know, before we get, you know, into this, what is your specialty? What do you guys do at FLI Products?
So we have a range of products really in housewares, sporting goods, outdoor lawn and garden, and a couple other categories that we have developed over the years with and through domestic manufacturers. We still do, because of just long-standing relationships, have some products that come from overseas. But for the most part, about 90% of our 350 SKUs today are actually made here in the US.
Wonderful. And so give everybody the website. Tell them how cool your products are.
Yeah, sure. It's www.fliproducts.com, fliproducts.com. And you'll be able to go on there and see the Made in USA banner and selection, and as well as each of the individual categories of products.
And you do have a wide range of categories. I've been on the site multiple times and said, okay, well, here's one that might fit. Yep. And be able to see if we can get you lined up with the Inventors so you can be a reseller of their products. Yep. And you know, the challenges that you see, how do you determine a new product? How do you determine, you know, yes, this is different enough from the things that are out there?
Sure, certainly market demand. And is there something that is unique about the product that's going to give it value that people will recognize, especially in a product that may already be out there today, but provide a different solution for? And that's one of the things that we like to be able to really tout about, the differences in our products and the value. And then obviously, are you able to scale it up? Can you produce it in enough quantity and do it fast enough that if we are fortunate enough to get a customer like a Home Depot or a Walmart or a Lowe's or somebody like that, are you going to be able to make enough to be able to satisfy the demand? Because the last thing you want to do is take an order from a customer and not deliver.
That is true. That's not a good thing.
Right. So, and then, you know, does a product have a retail fit? Some are are really good for potential retail, but it depends on who the customer is and price points and where it's going to fit on the shelf. So an analysis of that would be, you know, maybe a portion of the product or product assortment will fit, some may not. And so it depends on the availability.
Yep. I know it's complicated. So this is a topic that we will talk about again with our inventors. It's something that I deal with inventors on every time I talk to a new one about going to market. So everyone, we will be back next week with a new topic for inventors and, you know, new solutions and really fun products for you guys to go out and buy. So thanks everyone for joining us today. We will be back next week with more stories on getting products from mind to market. We will have new inventors and industry experts. So join us and have a wonderful week.